Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, where did the time go? Maybe you've caught yourself moving a little slower, needing a few extra minutes to get out of bed, or feeling like the spark you once had has dimmed just a little. It's not just your body you're noticing, it's your energy, your drive, your sense of purpose, and sometimes it can feel like that chapter of life is closing. But what if I told you that for one woman, her real story didn't even begin until she turned 67? Yes, 67, not 27, not 37, not even 57. At a time when many people start slowing down, she started waking up. She made one small decision, and that changed everything. Not all at once, of course, but day by day, week by week, her body, her mind, her soul, they began to feel alive again. She didn't find a magic pill. She found herself, and you can too. Because the truth is, it's never too late, not at 60, 70, 80, or even beyond. The body you have right now, the mind you're using to hear these words, it's capable of far more than you think. And today I want to share exactly how she did it, step by step, just like you can. See, aging isn't the enemy, it's a message. It's your body asking, can you meet me where I am now? Not where you were 30 years ago, right here, today. And when you do that, when you give your body and your life what they really need, you start to feel something shift. So let's begin, right where she did, with the small things, because the small things are what change everything. The first habit she started with was so simple, she almost laughed at herself for not doing it earlier. She started drinking a full glass of water right when she woke up. That's it. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive, just water. But here's the magic. After a full night's sleep, your body is like a sponge. It's dry, it's thirsty, and it's desperate for fuel. And coffee doesn't count. In fact, it dehydrates you more. This one habit, hydrating first thing in the morning, began to shift her energy levels almost immediately. She felt clearer, her digestion improved. Her headaches lessened, her skin glowing. She told me, I thought I was just tired all the time because I was getting older. Turns out, I was just dehydrated for half my life. So here's your first step. Keep a glass of water by your bed. When you wake up, drink it before anything else. Let that water be your morning medicine. The second change she made was movement, but not the kind you think. She didn't join a gym. She didn't sign up for a senior boot camp. She walked, slowly, deliberately, every morning around her block, sometimes just 5 minutes. Other times she went a bit longer. The point wasn't to burn calories or hit some imaginary goal, it was just to move, to let her blood flow, to let her body breathe. She started to feel stronger in her knees, less stiff in her back, and more importantly, she began to feel proud of herself again. You could see it in the way she held her posture. That quiet dignity, that pride that says, I still have it. If walking isn't your thing, it could be gentle stretching. Some people love to dance around the kitchen while the coffee brews. Others just raise their arms and twist side to side while standing in place. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It matters that you move. Every single day, your muscles are listening. They want to feel useful, and once you start giving them a reason, you'll be amazed at how quickly they respond. The third habit she adopted, she started breathing again. And I mean really breathing. You'd be surprised how many people spend their entire day holding their breath. Shallow breaths, quick inhales, rushed exhales. Stress locks us up, tightens our chest, and shuts down our nervous system. But she discovered a simple breathing ritual that shifted everything. Every morning before her walk, she would sit quietly, just 3 minutes, and do what she called her reset. She would breathe in slowly, for a count of 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6, then repeat. Just 5 or 6 cycles like that would calm her nerves, quiet her thoughts, and set the tone for the rest of her day. She didn't even need to meditate, she just needed to breathe like someone who cared about herself. And that's what it came down to, self-respect. Because each of these habits, drinking water, moving gently, breathing deeply, they weren't about fixing something that was broken. They were about honoring what was still working beautifully inside her. Her body wasn't giving up, it was waiting for her to come back home. Now, I know this might sound almost too simple, but let me ask you this. When's the last time you drank a full glass of water before coffee? When's the last time you moved? Not for weight loss, but just for the joy of movement. When's the last time you sat and took 3 minutes to breathe? That's where it all starts. And you don't have to be perfect. She wasn't. Some days she forgot. Some days she didn't want to get out of bed, but she kept showing up, one choice at a time, and every small decision was like casting a vote for the life she wanted to live, not the life she felt stuck in. If you're listening right now, I want you to hear this clearly. You still have time, you still have power, you still have choice, and it doesn't matter if you're 67 or 87, you can start right now. Now we've just scratched the surface, because yes, the body matters, but what really controls the body is the mind. So in the next part, we're going to go deeper. We'll talk about memory loss, brain fog, feeling stuck, feeling forgetful, and how she tackled all of that head on. Because physical health is important, but mental clarity, that's your compass. And when your mind is sharp, your life starts to open up again. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you were there, or struggled to remember a name you've known for years? It can feel unsettling, even a little scary, but let me tell you something. Those little lapses, they don't define you. They're not signs that you're fading. They're signs that it's time to give your mind the same love and attention you've given to everyone else for so many years. You see, just like your muscles, your mind needs exercise. It needs challenge. It needs variety. And the good news, it's never too late. The brain is a living, breathing organ, capable of change, even in our later years. That's the power of what scientists call neuroplasticity. It's your mind's ability to rewire, to form new pathways, to grow. Now here's the truth that too few people talk about. Aging doesn't mean decline. It means opportunity. An opportunity to learn new things, to explore the depths of your memory, to rediscover wonder. And that woman I told you about, the one who started all this at 67, one of the first things she did was reclaim her mind. Each morning she'd sit at her kitchen table, not with a newspaper or television buzzing in the background, but with a puzzle book, word searches, Sudoku, crosswords, even memory games on her tablet. Not because she was afraid of forgetting things, but because she was training, sharpening, like someone preparing for a race, except her finish line wasn't about speed. It was clarity, confidence, and joy. And do you want to know something incredible? Within a few weeks, she felt it. Words came more easily. She recalled birthdays and childhood memories she thought were gone. Conversations became more engaging. Her laughter, it returned full, confident, and often. That's what happens when you feed your mind. So if you're watching this right now and thinking, I'm too old for brain games, let me gently stop you. You're not. In fact, this is the perfect time. Start simple. Read a book you've never picked up before. Join a local library club or online group. Even 10 minutes a day of reading can fire up neurons you haven't used in a long time. And let's not forget the power of learning something completely new. When was the last time you picked up a hobby just for the fun of it? Not to impress someone, not to make money, just because it brings you joy. That's another thing she did. She started learning Italian, one word at a time, slowly, patiently. She said it made her feel like a little girl again, discovering the world. But mental sharpness isn't just about logic or memory. It's also about connection. Real, heart-deep connection. Because loneliness, it can be one of the heaviest weights on the mind. And sadly, so many people carry it in silence. Let's talk about that. She used to spend days alone. Her kids were grown. Her husband had passed, and many friends had moved away. There were moments when the silence in her home felt deafening. But here's what changed everything. She made a decision to reach out, to show up, even when she didn't feel like it, to call an old friend, to walk to the corner community center and sign up for a card game, even though she hadn't played in years. And something beautiful happened. She laughed again, not because life was suddenly perfect, but because she remembered what it felt like to be part of something, to be seen, heard, valued. That's what community does. And you don't need a crowd. 1 or 2 good conversations a week can light up your brain in ways you've forgotten were possible. It improves memory, boosts mood, even strengthens your immune system. It's one of the most powerful brain-boosting tools we have, and it's completely free. So if you've been feeling foggy or forgetful, try this. Reach out to one person today, just one. Send a message. Pick up the phone. Go for a walk with a neighbor. You don't need to feel 100% ready. You just need to start. Because the truth is, mental clarity isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's about staying engaged with life. And I promise, once you begin, once you give your mind the attention it deserves, you'll feel the difference. Now we've talked about physical health. We've talked about mental clarity. But there's one more piece to this transformation, perhaps the most important of all: how you feel inside. Because even if your body is strong and your mind is sharp, you need to protect your heart. You need to nourish your emotional well-being. And that's exactly where we're going next. Because she didn't just wake up one day mentally sharper. She woke up emotionally lighter, more hopeful, more alive. And you can too. You can eat well, move your body, sharpen your mind. But if your heart is heavy, none of it feels complete. And she knew this, that woman who started her transformation at 67. She wasn't just trying to be healthy, she was trying to feel whole again. You see, grief has a way of sneaking into the quiet hours. It hides in the corners of empty rooms. It lingers in old photographs, in unspoken words, in birthdays that come and go without a call. And for years she carried that weight without telling anyone, smiling for others, keeping busy. But deep down, she was tired, not just physically, emotionally. And then one morning, while sipping her tea by the window, she heard a whisper in her own heart. Not a loud command, not a breakthrough, just a quiet, aching truth. I miss myself. Not the woman she used to be for others. Not the caretaker, the mother, the wife, the helper, herself, the version of her that used to dance to music in the kitchen, who loved sitting in bookstores for hours, who felt beautiful even without anyone saying so. So she made a decision, one that might sound small but changed everything. She started listening to her needs, not out of selfishness, but out of deep overdue self-respect. And the first thing she did, she set boundaries. She stopped picking up the phone when someone only called to complain. She stopped saying yes when her heart whispered no. She started creating time, not just for chores or appointments, but for joy, for stillness, for her. She took long walks at sunrise, not for steps or calories, but for the peace. The birds, the breeze, the silence, it became her therapy. And slowly, the ache began to lift. She started journaling again, just a few lines every night, not to impress anyone, but to process, to reconnect, to honor the woman still living inside. And she found something surprising in that process. Forgiveness, forgiveness for the years she spent putting herself last. Forgiveness for the pain she carried. Forgiveness for not knowing how to let go of the past. And you know what came after forgiveness? Freedom. Because here's the secret they never tell you. Healing doesn't always come from doing more. It often comes from doing less, less pleasing, less proving, less performing, more being, more feeling, more allowing. She began to treat herself like someone she loved deeply. She bought flowers for her own table. She wore colors that made her feel alive. She looked in the mirror and didn't see wrinkles. She saw stories, battles won, love given, time survived. And that changed how she walked through the world. Now she didn't need the approval of others to feel worthy. She had built a new kind of strength, the quiet, steady strength of a woman who came home to herself. So let me ask you gently, when was the last time you put your hand over your heart and said, I'm proud of you, because you should be? You've made it through things no one knows about. You've carried burdens in silence. You've loved people who didn't love you back in the same way. And you're still here, still breathing, still open to life, still willing to try. That is courage, and that is more than enough. But we're not done yet, because now, with your body stronger, your mind sharper, your heart lighter, there's one more step. It's time to reignite your sense of purpose, to wake up with excitement again, to remember that your story isn't over, it's just getting good. And in the next part, we'll talk about that powerful shift, the fire that gets lit in the soul when you start living for you. It's time to feel alive again. By now you can see how her journey wasn't just about adding years to her life, it was about adding life to her years. And what she discovered, what she built, wasn't just a series of habits, it was a new way of being. A way of being that was intentional, meaningful, and, most importantly, her own. The foundation of her transformation wasn't some big grand plan. It wasn't about reinventing the wheel or trying to fit into some unrealistic standard of wellness. It was about small, simple choices made every single day. If you're wondering how you can start building your own version of this well, the answer is right in front of you. Start with the basics. The first thing she did after reconnecting with herself emotionally was to establish a morning routine. Now I know what you might be thinking. I'm not a morning person, but trust me when I tell you, how you begin your day shapes everything else. And she proved it. She started with something small. A simple glass of water. Seems simple, doesn't it? But after hours of sleep, your body is dehydrated. A glass of water first thing in the morning does wonders. It jumpstarts your metabolism, cleanses your system, and gives you that gentle boost of energy you need to get moving. But it didn't stop there. She added a stretch, a few minutes of deep breathing, a quiet moment for herself. No rush, no pressure, just peace. These small practices, simple as they were, became the anchor of her day. It wasn't about getting it perfect. It was about doing it consistently. And here's the thing, these habits had a ripple effect. Once she felt the power of a calm, focused start to her day, it began to spill over into every area of her life. She made healthier food choices. She took time to move her body, even if it was just a short walk in the garden or a few stretches while watching her favorite show. And the best part, she didn't force it. She just did what felt right for her. And then, there was the sun. Every morning, just 10 to 15 minutes of sunlight. It didn't matter if it was sunny or cloudy, that burst of natural light did more than boost her vitamin D. It improved her mood, regulated her sleep, and gave her that gentle, natural boost of energy to kickstart the day. The power of small habits started to add up, and one by one the cracks began to fill. Her energy levels improved. Her mind felt clearer. Her sense of purpose grew stronger. But there's one more thing that helped her transform the importance of moving your body. You don't have to run a marathon to feel good. In fact, she was never a fan of intense workouts, but she loved to walk. She loved to feel her feet moving, her heart beating steadily. And so she started walking more. At first just around the block, then later longer, more scenic routes. It wasn't about distance. It was about feeling connected to the world around her, to the movement in her own body. She found that when she moved, her thoughts became clearer, her body felt lighter, and her heart felt fuller. But it wasn't just about getting out of the house and stretching her legs. It was about the way she moved through the world. She began approaching each day with intention. She didn't just go through the motions. She started living in the moment. And that's where things really began to change. When she looked at life through the lens of daily habits, she started seeing life as something that could be built, piece by piece, something she could create, moment by moment. Now don't get me wrong. There were days when she didn't feel like doing anything. There were days when the weight of the world felt a little heavier, but she didn't let that stop her. Instead of using those days as excuses, she used them as opportunities to show up for herself in a different way. And that's what really made the difference. It wasn't about perfection. It was about progress, about building momentum that kept her going, even on the hard days. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Your habits matter. The little decisions you make each day shape the life you're living. And like she proved, these small steps can create monumental changes in how you feel about yourself, your future, and your potential. As her life began to change, she didn't just focus on the present. She started looking ahead, really looking ahead at what she wanted her future to be. It wasn't about chasing after youth. It wasn't about trying to turn back time. It was about embracing the future with intention, with a sense of purpose that would carry her through her later years. And that's the key. She knew that planning for the future wasn't something reserved for when you're younger. It's something you can do at any stage of life. So she began by reflecting on what truly mattered to her. She asked herself, what do I want my legacy to be? What do I want my life to stand for in the years to come? And more importantly, she asked, how do I want to spend my time today, tomorrow, and for the rest of my life? It sounds like a big question, doesn't it? But it's one that each of us must ask ourselves, because in the end, life is about creating moments that matter, And it's never too late to start. Never too late to figure out what you want to leave behind, to shape the story you'll tell at the end of your journey. One of the first steps she took was to identify the things that brought her joy. You might think you need to plan big grand gestures, but she didn't. It wasn't about huge trips or lavish experiences, although don't get me wrong, those things have their place. She focused on what made her feel alive. She remembered the hobbies that she once loved, but had put aside for years, and she started bringing them back into her life. One small thing at a time. Maybe for you it's writing, painting, or knitting. Maybe it's reconnecting with old friends or traveling to a place you've always dreamed of. Whatever it is, she made it a priority. She made sure that every day she did something that nourished her soul. But beyond that, she also knew the importance of financial planning. She wasn't just focusing on the joy of the moment. She was also preparing for the future to make sure that her later years would be as comfortable and secure as possible. She began reviewing her finances, understanding what she had, what she needed, and how to ensure she had what she required for the years ahead. It wasn't about hoarding money or living in fear of the future. It was about taking control. And so she worked with a financial advisor, setting aside savings, creating a clear budget, and making sure she had everything lined up for the long haul. She realized that being proactive about her finances didn't just give her peace of mind, it also freed her up to enjoy the present without worrying about what might come tomorrow. She knew that the future didn't just happen, you have to plan for it. And the best way to start is by making small decisions today that set you up for success tomorrow. As she planned for her future, she also reflected on what she wanted to leave behind, a legacy that would inspire others. She wasn't interested in fame or accolades. What mattered most to her was knowing that her life had made a difference to those around her. Whether through the people she mentored, the stories she shared, or the wisdom she passed on, she wanted to be remembered for her impact. And that's something I want you to think about too. What do you want to leave behind? What kind of legacy do you want to create? Your story isn't finished yet, far from it. You have so much to give, so much wisdom to share, and so many memories yet to make. It's easy to think that time is running out when you're getting older, but that's a myth. You have more than enough time to create the future you want, more than enough time to build a life that's filled with purpose, passion, and fulfillment. Planning for the future is not about preparing for the end. It's about making sure that today is the beginning of something even greater. It's about living with intention, making choices that align with your values, and knowing that every single day is an opportunity to shape the story you want to tell. Now that we've talked about planning for the future, let's talk about how to truly live for today. Because as important as it is to plan ahead, it's just as important to embrace the present moment. Let's dive into the final piece of her transformation: how to live fully, right now, and make each day count. In the end, all the planning, all the changes, and all the growth came down to one thing: living fully in the present. It's easy to get caught up in thinking about the future or regretting the past, but the real magic happens when you take the lessons you've learned, the habits you've developed, and the plans you've made, and you focus them on today. When she started this journey, she realized that the present moment was the most important one. The future will come, and the past is gone, but today is where you have the power. Today is the only moment where you can truly create change. And she took full advantage of that. She lived with the understanding that the small everyday actions and choices make the biggest difference in the long run. So how did she live fully? First, she began each day with a sense of gratitude. She took a moment to acknowledge the gift of another day, no matter how simple it seemed, whether it was the warmth of the sun, the sound of birds chirping outside, or the comfort of a warm cup of coffee in the morning. She made sure to recognize the beauty in the little things. And that's something you can do too. Start each day by acknowledging something you're thankful for, no matter how small it may seem. Gratitude changes the way you look at life. It shifts your perspective and helps you appreciate the present moment, which is all you really have. Living fully also meant but perhaps the most important part of living fully is understanding that it's never too late. You don't have to be 25 or 45 or even 60 to live your best life. The truth is, it's never too late to live the life you want. Whether you're 67 or 87, there's always time to grow, to learn, and to become more of who you're meant to be. She started her transformation at 67, and by doing so, she proved that age is just a number. It doesn't define you, it doesn't limit your potential. The only limits are the ones you place on yourself. You can change your life at any age. You can choose to start fresh. You can decide today that you're going to live with purpose, joy, and a sense of adventure, and you can do it right now. So I want to ask you, what is one thing you're going to do today to improve your life? Is it something small like practicing gratitude, or something bigger like setting a new goal for yourself? Whatever it is, take the first step today. And remember, it's never too late to create the life you truly want. If this video inspired you, I'd love for you to share it, leave a comment below, and let us know what you're going to do to live fully in the present. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more tips, and keep living with intention, purpose, and joy.